Gemara talks about that. Even that's going to be reminded to you. Amazingly, even in the book of Tanya, the older Rebbe, in chapter 8, he also says that a person will be judged for a very simple conversation he has with his wife. Just basic conversation. So we see that the Torah is being pretty harsh, that every word that comes out of my mouth is going to be observed and be like, why did you say that? Even though there's no prohibition here. I didn't lie right now. I didn't cheat. I didn't slander. I just talked for nothing. So we see that the Torah gives a lot of importance and a very big weight to every word that comes out of my mouth. The Gemara says that words are like an arrow. Once you shoot it, you don't know where it's going to go. Some of the words that you shoot, you know exactly where they're going to go. But some of them, you just talk, with no meaning to do anything harm. And it's funny, it's mamash hashgacha pratit. A few years ago was the Second Lebanon War. And it's just something that I heard again recently, and I made the connection. Now, if you remember, there was a certain individual, we're not going to say who, so we chas v'shalom not going to say lashon hara, but there was a certain individual that the day that the war broke out, he sold all his stocks in one of the banks. And there was a very big thing going on. What? Now this was one of the military personnel, but a very high rank in the army, that the day the war broke out, or I think the day before the war broke out, something like that, he sold all his stocks. And what was talked about is, that's what you're busy? A war is breaking out and you're selling all your stocks, meaning you know that now a war will change the value of your stocks in the market and you're going to sell all your stocks. And that was like the talk of the country, that this individual, extremely high-ranking officer in the army, that's what he did. Now, he of course went to the bank and he was about to sue them. How dare you tell them, come out with my personal records to the public? The bank was like, we didn't say anything. It went to such an extent that they took all the workers from the bank to a polygraph machine to make sure, and they all were saying the truth. And neither one of them said, I didn't say anything. So they were in a big puzzle. How did the rumor came out? What happened was the two girls that worked in the bank were talking between themselves. They didn't went out to advertise it. They just talked between themselves. Happened to be that somebody overheard it and went and sold that juicy information to the newspaper. So these two girls, they were speaking, they weren't talking lashon hara, they were gossiping, because they didn't have the intention to hurt him. They didn't have the intention they just, in a very innocent way, were just talking between themselves. Did you see that building over there that he sold?